Hi, I'm Doc Palmer. Welcome back. I'm the author of McGraw-Hill's best-selling reliability book, The Maintenance Planning and Scheduling Handbook. If you want a competitive edge for maintenance, planning and scheduling is the quality and the productivity piece of maintenance. If you've identified the right maintenance to do, how are you going to do that maintenance? Are you productive enough to do that? And how do you improve quality over the years? Well, to improve quality and to support scheduling, we want to run planning as a Deming cycle, admitting plans are not perfect, but our main job as planners is to make them better over the years. And on scheduling, most people miss the purpose of scheduling. It's to help us, the real purpose of scheduling is to help us complete more work than we would normally complete. Most people think that the purpose of planning is to tell people how to do their job, and the purpose of scheduling is to complete the schedule. But the best way to complete the schedule is to underload the schedule. No, we need to fully load the schedule to defeat Parkinson's law and accept lower schedule compliance. Tricky concepts we've talked about, but that gives us a competitive edge, those two simple concepts. Plans are not perfect, run a Deming cycle. Schedules are not perfect. Fully load the schedules to defeat Parkinson's law, and then deal with the opportunities later, which we have talked about. Today, I want to talk about the popular subject of backlog management. When I ask somebody how big should your backlog be, the common answer is 2 to 4 and 4 to 6. I just disagree with that. What they're saying is that means 2 to 4 weeks of planned backlog, so you can feed your scheduling, and then 4 to 6 weeks of total backlog, which would include the planned backlog, include the planned backlog. So that would give extra work for the planner to be focusing on, so they're not running out of work to plan. The problem with that is, well, the smart aleck response to that is, if you want 2 to 4 weeks of planned backlog and 4 to 6 weeks of total backlog, how do you know how much backlog that is if those work orders are unplanned? And then I had one person with the temerity to tell me that every job should go through planning twice. Once for an initial estimate, and then another time for a detailed time estimate. Look, we're not going to put all jobs through planning twice. The estimates are not that accurate, but they're useful for scheduling and planning and executing and controlling work. We're not going to send every job through planning twice for double estimates. Then also the idea of the backlog should only be 4 weeks, 6 weeks total. If the backlog's higher than that, there's a danger for management saying the backlog's too big, the backlog's too big, the backlog's too big. That would encourage operators to stop telling us about little things. No, we want operators to tell us about all the little things that we have so we can be productively working on them so we don't have big things and problems and breakdowns. We want all the little things in the plan. We don't want to encourage the operators to not tell us that. We don't want to discourage the operators from telling us about little things. And then if the backlog's too big, the backlog's too big too, that would encourage maintenance people to cut corners and compromise quality. No, once a job goes in execution, quality is king. If a 2-hour job needs to take 5 hours to do it right, if a 5-hour job really needs a day and a half to do it right, we want the craftsperson to take the time and do the job right. Now, during the execution, they might let the supervisor know, hey, this job's going to take longer than I thought. But quality is king. And then if the backlog is too low, there might be a danger from management saying, well, everything's under control. No, maybe you're not generating enough proactive work to head off breakdowns in the future. So with a high backlog, maybe we're not doing scheduling right. Maybe we ought to look at, are we fully loading schedules to defeat Parkinson's law? Don't hire people because the backlog's too big if you're not doing scheduling right. And if the backlog's normally very small, don't be not replacing your staff Don't let staff attrition reduce your maintenance staff. Maybe you're not exercising your muscles to generate proactive work to take care of things. You've got a brand new car, so you don't need to do maintenance for a long time. No, we want to do all the proactive maintenance to keep that new car in new car condition so it's available. Our primary objective in maintenance is to have few breakdowns. Our primary objective as a company is to have a reliable plant. Few breakdowns equal a reliable plant. That means we need to be busy working on things so things are not breaking on us. We want a high backlog of things that are not urgent. Then when you have this backlog going along where operators have a feel for, if they tell you about some little thing, you're not going to be able to take care of it anyways. And they know we're busy in maintenance, so they don't tell us about little things. But this backlog is full of a lot of, let me state my priority system. 0 is an emergency, 1 is urgent, 2 is routine high, 3 is routine normal, 4 is routine low. So just a lot of tips of icebergs there. This backlog has a lot of 2s in it, has a lot of 3s in it, and there are a lot of 2s and urgent stuff that needs to be done, and maybe a few 4s. When you start fully loading schedules, you're going to find your operators haven't been telling you about a lot of 3s and 4s that they could have. But when you've drained your backlog, now you can concentrate on making a more healthy backlog of more 3s, fewer 2s, and a lot more 4s, things you need to take care of. Little trips. These are foundations are washing out and stuff. We need to take care of it right away. So that's going to happen there. We want a huge backlog of healthy work orders. John Day, who is a manager at a world-class plant in the early 90s, Alumax at Goose Creek, South Carolina, said you want more than a 3-week backlog where things are not breaking. So these are almost things breaking here, and there are probably some 1s in there too. We want very few 1s in there. It's urgent work you should do this week, but they actually bleed into next week because you're so busy you can't do it all. But you're still making money. We want things hardly ever break. We're working like crazy in maintenance, focusing on quality and doing those low proactive work. So John Day, greater than 3-week backlog, and things are not breaking. And no 0s and 1s. I would just state that things are not breaking. We've got a huge backlog of work. Now, if you're fully scheduling and you have a healthy backlog, and that healthy backlog is growing and growing and growing, then you could look at staffing. But I tell you what, if the backlog is too low, don't get complacent. Don't let people go. You know, we have 10 electricians, 2 are about to retire. Things aren't breaking around here. Let's see if we can get by with 8 electricians. And you slowly reduce your staff toward you have a lot of breakdowns and you can't keep up. So do the scheduling properly. Have a healthy backlog of low priority. That's 3s and 4s especially. So that's what we want. Backlog management's not just as simple as 2 to 4 and 4 to 6. And then I will make a comment about planning in regard to backlog. Work orders come in, some status, we'll just say it's waiting for approval. We want them planned, changed to waiting to schedule. We want a minimal, I will say about 0. We want a minimal unplanned backlog. Well, Doc, sometimes you can't plan something right away because you're waiting on parts. Okay, that's an acceptable excuse. Well, Doc, that work order, we're trying to figure out whether there should be a gate valve or a globe valve. Wait a minute, that's changing the design of the plant. That goes to waiting to engineering or management of change. Doc, we planned that job, but we can't say it's planned yet. We're not sure we want to do it. It's going to be more expensive than we thought. Okay, well, that's a hold for whatever reason. Those are excuses that are okay, and those are something you might want to look at. But we want a minimal unplanned backlog. This is a measure of management of planner maturity. If you have a huge unplanned backlog, you can't put much detail into these job plans, but you have to plan them. We've got skilled craftspersons. They can work with a minimal plan. They could work with no plan. That's where we were before we started planning. Now, if you have a fairly low unplanned backlog, then the planner could put more detail into the job plans, make better quantitatively job plans. So the mark of planner maturity is knowing how much detail to put into a job plan to stay ahead of the scheduling monster. When you start fully scheduling, you're going to run out of backlog. You can't have a lot of unplanned work orders sitting there, or we will be working jobs unplanned because we're out of work. That's not a good quality situation. We're not running the Deming cycle. We want the planner running that Deming cycle, getting those work orders to waiting to schedule. We want a huge backlog of opportunities, little proactive items that we can work on to keep ourselves from having hardly any breakdowns in the future. And we want a reliable plant. What's a reliable plant? You have few breakdowns and urgent work orders because you're working like crazy. You're doing more work than a normal plant because you're fully loading schedules. And you got that healthy backlog of planned work orders. This is healthy. This is an unhealthy backlog. So that's my take on backlog management. We want a huge backlog of unplanned work orders and a plant that's reliable, experiencing few breakdowns and urgent work orders. So kind of simple, but it's different from what industry commonly thinks. But we don't want to be common. We don't want to be a good plant making money. We want to be a great plant making a lot more money. Good is easy to achieve. Great is hard to achieve. It's doing things differently and staying there. You've got to persistently stay with that. Management driven. So thanks for being part of my maintenance family. I appreciate you letting me be part of your maintenance family. We'll see you next time. And you can see some of my past conference magazine articles at palmerplanning.com, and also see when I'm having public workshops. And thanks for joining me. God bless.